Secret Feminization. My name is Daniel, and from the outside, my life looks painfully ordinary. I'm 26 years old, working as a junior analyst at a downtown accounting firm. My days are spent hunched over spreadsheets, buried in numbers, answering politely to managers who barely remember my name. I blend in well. Too well, perhaps. No one at the office suspects that behind my calm, unremarkable exterior, I'm living a secret I can't share with anyone. At home, things should feel easier. My girlfriend, Emma, and I have been together for almost 3 years. She's warm, ambitious, and effortlessly stylish, the kind of woman who walks into a room and makes heads turn without trying. She works as a fashion buyer, always draped in elegant outfits, her closet bursting with clothes I've secretly memorized more than I'd ever admit. Emma is my anchor, the person who makes me feel like I belong somewhere. And yet, even with her, there's a part of me I keep locked away. Because late at night, when the city quiets and Emma is asleep, I become someone else. It started small, borrowing one of Emma's scarves, just to feel the silk against my skin. Then it was her perfume, a spritz on my wrist that lingered like a guilty pleasure. Soon, I was standing in front of the mirror wearing one of her dresses, heart hammering as I adjusted the straps and imagined myself as someone entirely different. I tell myself it's just curiosity, a way to relieve stress after work, a private game of make-believe. But the truth is harder to swallow. The more I slip into Emma's clothes, the more alive I feel. The man in the mirror disappears, and in his place is a softer, gentler reflection that feels right. Too right. Still, I can't let anyone know, not Emma, not my coworkers, not even my closest friends. What would they think if they saw me like that? Would Emma laugh? Would she recoil in disgust? Or worse, would she leave me? These thoughts gnaw at me every time I close the closet door and slip back into my ordinary self. Our apartment sits on the 5th floor of a quiet building just outside the city center. It's modest. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room Emma has decorated with her impeccable taste. To her, the 2nd bedroom is an office. To me, it's something else entirely. That's where I keep my secret neatly hidden in boxes under the desk. A pair of heels bought online, a cheap wig tucked away in tissue paper, a collection of makeup products I barely know how to use. Every time I open that drawer, guilt stings my chest, but the thrill always wins. Emma knows I'm introverted, that I prefer nights at home to parties, that I struggle with expressing myself. She thinks my silences mean I'm deep in thought, calculating. She doesn't know that half the time, I'm wrestling with the image of myself in a skirt, wondering why it feels so intoxicating. On the surface, our relationship is stable. We cook dinner together, binge-watch shows on the couch, plan weekend getaways when our schedules allow. She talks about the future, moving into a bigger place, maybe even marriage one day. I smile, nodding, pretending to share the same vision. But deep down, a whisper echoes inside me. What if she knew who you really were? The whisper haunts me most on nights like this one. Emma had gone out with her coworkers for drinks, leaving me alone in the apartment. The city lights spilled in through the window, painting silver streaks across the living room floor. The silence was thick, and my heart raced with both dread and anticipation. I walked into the 2nd bedroom, shutting the door behind me. My hands trembled as I reached for the wig, running my fingers through the synthetic strands. Each movement felt both dangerous and liberating, like I was crossing a forbidden line I couldn't uncross. The clock ticked loudly, reminding me that Emma could return at any moment. That constant threat made the air electric, my every action charged with suspense. But the pull was stronger than the fear. I told myself I'd just put it on for a minute, just long enough to see the transformation. Just long enough to remind myself of the other version of me that existed in secret. Because lately, that version had been harder to ignore. The morning after Emma left for her shift, Alex found himself sitting at the edge of their neatly made bed. His hands were clenched together, knuckles white, as if the tension in his body might spill out if he relaxed even slightly. The apartment was silent except for the ticking of the clock above the kitchen doorway, but in Alex's chest, his heart pounded so loudly it drowned out everything else. He whispered to himself, almost as if saying the words aloud would make them real. Today, just for a while. That's all he ever promised himself. Just for a while. Just for today. Just this once. But once had turned into dozens of times in the past year. Whenever Emma wasn't home, Alex would unlock the hidden box beneath their bed, pull out the neatly folded clothes, the makeup palettes, the wig, and the pair of heels that made his legs look like they belonged to someone else. Someone braver, someone freer. Yet every single time, the fear was there too. What if Emma forgot something and came home early? What if she noticed the faint trace of foundation on the bathroom counter? What if she saw him in the mirror but couldn't recognize the person standing in her boyfriend's place? He knelt down and slid out the box. His breath caught when the lid came off because there it was, the life he wasn't supposed to live. A silky pink blouse, snug skirts, a pair of black stockings still in their plastic sleeve, and the long brown wig he had spent weeks choosing online. His fingers lingered on the fabric, tracing the smoothness of the blouse, shivering as he imagined how it would cling to his chest. Each item was a symbol of both liberation and danger, freedom wrapped tightly with secrecy. Alex stripped off his plain t-shirt and jeans, folding them neatly on the chair beside the bed. In their place, he stepped into the skirt, pulling it slowly up his legs, savoring the snug fit around his waist. The blouse came next, soft against his skin, buttoning it carefully until it hugged his frame. He glanced in the mirror. Without makeup, without the wig, he looked like a man in borrowed clothes. The sight filled him with both shame and anticipation. "Not yet," he whispered, reaching for the foundation. The makeup was always the scariest part. It wasn't something you could remove instantly if someone knocked on the door. It required time, precision, and confidence he wasn't sure he deserved. But as the brush swept across his face, his jaw softened. His cheekbones lifted. A stranger, or perhaps his true self, began to emerge. The mascara made his eyes seem wider, almost vulnerable. A shade of lipstick Emma never wore but that he secretly adored turned his mouth into something delicate, kissable, undeniably feminine. Finally, the wig. He lifted it carefully, as though it were a crown. When he fitted it over his cropped hair and adjusted the strands around his shoulders, his reflection was no longer Alex. It was someone else entirely. He tilted his head, smiled. And in that smile, he saw freedom. The heels were the finishing touch. Standing in them, his body felt aligned in a way his sneakers never offered. Each step was cautious at first, then smoother, more natural. He paced the room like a model rehearsing on a secret runway, the sound of the heels clicking against the floorboards sending chills through him. For a fleeting moment, he forgot the fear. He forgot Emma. He forgot the world outside the four walls. He was simply her. The euphoria lasted only a heartbeat before anxiety slithered back in. Alex froze when the hallway outside the apartment creaked. Was it Emma? Was it the neighbor? His body stiffened, his heart hammering, as he tiptoed toward the peephole. It was nothing. Just Mrs. Kelly from next door shuffling past with her groceries. But the scare left him shaken. If a stranger had been enough to unravel him, what would Emma do if she discovered him like this? Their relationship was loving, yes. Emma was kind, adventurous, and understanding when it came to most things. But Alex had heard her jokes about guys who act too feminine. She once teased a coworker who wore a scarf like a diva, laughing in a way that made Alex shrink into himself. Would she laugh at him? Or worse, would she leave? The thought gnawed at him as he sat at the vanity, staring at the girl in the mirror who looked nothing like Emma's boyfriend. But the pull was stronger than the fear. Alex picked up his phone, snapped a photo, then quickly deleted it. The temptation to keep a record was unbearable, but the danger of Emma finding it on his phone was greater. Instead, he decided to push the fantasy further. He moved to the living room, heels echoing on the wooden floor, skirt swishing around his thighs. He sat on the couch, crossed his legs delicately, pretending for a moment that this was normal, that he could exist like this without secrets, without guilt. He even turned on the TV, flipping to a fashion show rerun. The models strutted with confidence, their dresses shimmering under the lights, and Alex whispered to himself, That could be me. And then he laughed, half in delight, half in despair. Because no matter how right it also felt like a ticking time bomb. That afternoon, as the clock struck 3, Alex heard the jingle of keys at the door. His blood turned to ice. Emma wasn't supposed to be home for another 4 hours. Panic ripped through him as he stumbled to his feet, nearly tripping on the heels. He darted to the bedroom, tugging at the blouse buttons with trembling fingers, lipstick smudging across the sleeve. The door clicked. The handle turned. Alex. Emma's voice floated in, casual, unsuspecting. He yanked the wig off, tossing it into the box, but the skirt was still on his hips. His chest tightened as he heard her footsteps approach the bedroom. In that instant, Alex realized something horrifying. The mirror still showed traces of his transformation. His eyes rimmed with mascara. His lips faintly red. His cheeks softened with foundation. The box was still open on the floor. And Emma was only steps away. The sound of Emma's footsteps grew closer, each one echoing like a countdown inside Alex's chest. His pulse hammered in his ears as he tugged desperately at the skirt, the zipper snagging halfway. His fingers shook so badly he could barely grip it. Alex. Emma's voice was clearer now, just outside the bedroom door. Think. He begged himself. He darted toward the bed, yanked the blanket loose, and wrapped it hastily around his waist, hiding the skirt's telltale hem. With one hand, he shoved the box back under the bed with such force it banged against the wall. The door opened. Emma appeared, framed by the hallway light, her dark hair pulled back into a messy bun, still in her nurse's scrubs. She looked exhausted but surprised to see him standing there awkwardly, blanket clutched around his waist like a toga. "Why are you all wrapped up like that?" she asked with a small laugh. Alex forced a grin, his lips trembling slightly from the lipstick he hadn't fully rubbed off. Just cold. The AC's been on all day." Emma frowned. "It's 75 degrees, Alex." Her eyes narrowed ever so slightly, drifting over his face. Alex froze, certain she would notice the faint shimmer of foundation, the mascara still darkening his lashes, the smudge of red at the corner of his mouth. But instead, Emma sighed, dropping her bag on the chair. "Never mind. Today's been awful. They called me in for a double shift, and then I get halfway there, and they send me home because of scheduling." She rubbed her temples. "I'm wiped." Alex exhaled quietly, relief washing over him. The blanket suddenly felt suffocating, but he dared not move. Emma yawned, flopping onto the bed. "You didn't tell me you were home early, too. Did you even eat?" Alex shook his head, swallowing hard. "Not yet." "Figures," she muttered, closing her eyes. "Order something later. I need to rest." Within minutes, her breathing slowed, settling into the rhythm of sleep. Alex stood frozen for what felt like an eternity, still clutching the blanket, heart refusing to calm. When he finally dared to move, he crept into the bathroom. Under the harsh light, the traces of his other self stared back at him. Mascara, lipstick, smoothened skin. He scrubbed furiously, watching the girl he had been just minutes ago vanish down the drain. But as the water ran pink and black, an ache hollowed inside him. He had never felt more alive than he had in those stolen hours. And now, he was nothing but a man hiding under a blanket. The next day, Emma lingered over her coffee longer than usual. She watched Alex closely, her gaze curious in a way that made him squirm. "You look different," she said at last. Alex nearly choked on his toast. "Different how?" "I don't know. Softer, maybe? Did you get new shampoo or something?" She tilted her head. Heat rushed to Alex's face. He forced a laugh. "Nope. Same old me." Emma didn't push, but the suspicion in her eyes haunted him. That single remark gnawed at him all morning. Had she noticed? Had he missed a spot of eyeliner, a smear of lipstick? By afternoon, his anxiety boiled over. He unlocked the box again, almost angrily this time. If Emma suspected, wasn't it pointless to keep hiding? And yet, the second he slipped into the clothes, relief flooded through him. It was as if two halves of himself were constantly at war, The side that wanted to bury the secret forever, and the side that needed to breathe in silk, lace, and color. But war always leaves casualties. That evening, as he sat at the vanity again, lipstick fresh, wig styled just right, there was a sharp knock at the door. His blood froze. Emma was working until midnight. Who could it be? He stayed perfectly still, hoping whoever it was would leave. But the knocking came again, louder this time. Alex? It's Mark. His neighbor. His male neighbor. Alex's stomach dropped. He couldn't be seen like this. Not by Mark, not by anyone. Just a minute. Alex croaked, scrambling. He yanked off the wig, stuffed it under the vanity, and grabbed a hoodie from the chair, pulling it over his blouse. But the skirt clung to his thighs, refusing to vanish. The knocking grew impatient. Come on, man, I just need to borrow your drill. Alex cracked the door open just enough to peer through. Hey, I'm busy right now. Can I bring it over later? Mark's eyes flicked downward. For a split second, Alex thought he saw the skirt hem, the faint shimmer on his lips. But Mark only shrugged. Sure, whatever. Don't forget this time. He turned and left. The second the hallway was empty, Alex slammed the door shut, heart ricocheting in his chest. That was too close. Way too close. But worse, he couldn't shake the feeling that Mark had seen something. Later that night, Emma returned, exhausted again, and collapsed on the couch. Alex hovered, nervous energy radiating off him. She studied him carefully. You're acting weird, she said bluntly. He forced a laugh. Just stressed. Emma tilted her head. Stressed, huh? Then maybe you can explain why there's lipstick on the bathroom towel. The room went silent. Alex's throat closed up. His brain screamed for an excuse. Say anything, lie, cover, run, but nothing came. Emma's eyes narrowed. Alex, is there something you need to tell me? Emma's question hung in the air like a blade. Alex, is there something you need to tell me? His heart pounded so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His mind scrambled for lies, excuses, anything, but every possibility sounded ridiculous. What could I even say? That the lipstick was hers? That I kissed someone? That I... His silence said more than any words could. Emma's expression shifted, a flash of hurt breaking through suspicion. You're hiding something from me? I'm not, Alex stammered, voice cracking. Yes, you are, she cut him off sharply. You've been jumpy, strange, and now this. Lipstick on the towel. Mascara in the sink. Do you think I don't notice things? Her tone wasn't angry. Not yet. It was searching, wounded, confused. But that only made it worse. Alex wrapped his arms around himself, blanket slipping just enough to reveal the hem of the skirt still clinging to his thighs. Emma's eyes caught the flash of fabric. She froze. What is that? She whispered. Panic shot through Alex like electricity. He tried to cover it, tugging the blanket tighter, but it was too late. Emma stepped closer, her gaze sharp, voice trembling. Alex, are you wearing a skirt? He couldn't breathe. His mouth moved, but nothing came out. Emma's face was unreadable, a storm of confusion, betrayal, and something else he couldn't place. Why? She demanded softly. Why would you? Before Alex could answer, before he could summon the courage to either confess or lie, there was another knock at the door. 3 heavy, deliberate knocks. Both of them flinched. Emma turned toward the hallway, startled. Who could that be this late? Alex's blood ran cold. His neighbor? His boss? Someone else entirely? His secrets, his hidden clothes, the wig, the makeup, were scattered all around the apartment. If Emma opened that door, if anyone stepped inside right now, everything would unravel. Don't, Alex whispered, his voice shaking. Emma frowned. What do you mean don't? Who is it? The knocking came again, louder this time. The sound reverberated through the small apartment, each thud a reminder that Alex's 2 worlds, his hidden self and the life he had with Emma, were about to collide. Emma reached for the door handle. Emma, wait. Alex cried, stepping forward, his blanket slipping off completely now, revealing the skirt in full view. Emma gasped, her hand frozen inches from the handle. She turned to him, eyes wide with shock, lips parting as if to speak. And then the doorknob turned from the outside. The door began to open.